All right. So imagine that you are in an interview and you've been asked the question. So tell me, why should we even hire you? Or why do you think you're the right person to be promoted here? Now, those are typical questions which demand a very objective response from your side. Now, often in interviews, or for that matter, when we have internal job postings and we are giving an interview to prove our worth for that promotion, we often get stuck because we don't know what to answer. Or even if we do, we may not be able to put it in the right way so that we are able to convince the person asking the question. So there is a simple way to sort this out, and there's a framework that you can actually use in the context of this particular question. Now, why is this question important? Because the question has been asked to identify if you're the right person for the job or if you're the right person who deserves to be promoted, right? Therefore, there is a framework called the STAR framework that you can use. What is the STAR framework? The STAR framework is a step by step approach for you to respond to this question. So it stands for situation, task, action, and result. Let's understand this one step at a time. So the first one is situation. So someone asks you, okay, tell me why should we hire you or why you should be promoted. Now, therefore, you're going to talk about a situation that you encountered in your past or maybe in the recent past where you had a challenge or you had a situation at hand. You'll say, well, the situation was that the sales of our organization was not that great. The numbers were very poor and we had a tough time even retaining our existing clients and also winning new clients. So that's the situation. The next step comes task. So what was the task? The task that I was entrusted was to improve the sales numbers, especially in my region, in my zone. And therefore, what I did is I made sure that first and foremost, all the sales executives in my region were trained on selling skills. We acclimatized them with some of the questions that clients are likely to ask. We prepared them in terms of technical skills and knowledge. We made sure that their confidence was up to the mark. And when we send them back to the clients, this time they were in a better position to handle client objections and they were able to convince the clients. And in about 2 quarters' time, we were able to push the sales. And I played a very important role in this entire process. So now what you've done is you've spoken about the task that you were handed over, which was to increase sales. And you also spoke about what actions you took. So action basically talks about what are some of the steps that you took in order to make sure that the problem or the challenge at hand is solved. Okay. So we start with the situation, which is essentially the problem or the challenge. Then you talk about the task, which is essentially the role that you have been given or the role that you're going to play in order to solve the problem. Then we focus on action, which is the actual steps that you have taken in order to solve the problem. But then nothing works until there has been a result. So the last step, therefore, in the STAR process is the R, which stands for result. So you talk about what results you achieved. So you could say that, okay, because of everything that I did, the sales numbers went up, or we had a considerable amount of customers being retained, whatever the result had been. The result need not be always 100%, but some improvement from where you started. So what you did in this particular process is you spoke of an actual scenario. You actually spoke about a problem that was there in reality. Then you spoke about what was your role in trying to solve this problem. Then you spoke about the actions that you took, and finally the result, the outcome that you had. Now, when you answer the question in this particular framework, in this particular format, you come across as being more objective, number one. You come across as being more convincing, and therefore the other person gets clarity about your capability and your strengths. Rather than this, if you just keep talking about the fact that you're good at certain things, you have certain strengths, well, it may not really strike a chord with the other person. So use the STAR framework as a tool to convince the other person in a very objective manner as to what your strengths are, because it actually talks about what you've really done in the past. Now, the other situation where you can use this really effectively is also during interviews which are done within the organization for promotions. So whenever you are going to be promoted or you are being considered for promotion, you'd be asked this question, tell us why you think you deserve to be promoted, because there are 10 other people and there are only 3 vacancies. Tell us why you think you are the right cut for this job. So even in that case, you can use the STAR framework. You can talk about a problem that you've encountered in the situation. You can talk about the task that you were given, the actions that you took, and finally the results that you had. Now, this gives you the opportunity to explain the situation from start to end, the role that you played, the actions you took, and finally the outcomes or the results that you had at hand. So using a framework is always a better way to answer a question like this, because it helps you convince the other person. It also makes it relatively easier for you to remember what you want to say. So here's a tip. The next time you are going for an interview or maybe an internal job posting, wherein there is a promotion as an opportunity thrown at your disposal, you want to use the STAR framework. So prepare for it, because once you prepare for it, it will come to you more naturally, right? So try this. By the way, the STAR framework is not only applicable if you're appearing for an interview, it is equally important and applicable if you're conducting an interview. So the next time you conduct an interview and you have a candidate in front of you, rather than asking just generic questions, if you want to dig deeper to identify whether the other person is actually worth it, use the STAR formula. So you can actually share the STAR formula and say that, look, I want you to answer my question in this particular format. That will also tell you whether the other person is authentic, genuine, and are his credentials and experience and what he or she has done in reality, are they in sync with each other? So there are multiple ways you can use that. So this is the STAR framework, very, very simple to use and absolutely practical. So try it, and I'm sure it will give you some remarkable and sparkling results. Thank you for listening.